Okay, Assalamualaikum. Very good morning to everyone. Okay, only 27 so far, but it is already 5 minutes past 10 o'clock. So we'll start with the topic today. Okay, can you all see the slide now? Oosh. You all see the slide? Nampak tak?
Nampak apa? Nampak.
Okay. Sorry, I thought you didn't see it. Okay, today is our last topic for the course. Is Shariah retirement planning. Hold on, I have to minimize to admit people. Okay, I'm not putting the slides on show mode yet because from time to time I need to admit people who needs to come in. Okay, the topic is Shariah retirement planning. So it shouldn't be a new something unfamiliar because you have done this topic in the earlier retirement planning course. Okay, so only for this part you just add the Shariah components whereby you have to fulfill all the requirements required in the Islamic financial planning. Um, okay, the definition of retirement planning is an arrangement whereby we want to make sure it can provide people with an income during retirement after they're not working anymore. Okay, so we have to make the plans earlier, even before they retire, so that when the time comes, the income is already there for them to collect. Okay, what's the scenario in Malaysia? Many members withdrew 70% of their savings and spend the money in less than 30 days. So this happened probably on the first day of retirement when they receive all the funds that they should be received, or when anytime when they withdraw their savings, or when they are allowed to withdraw their EPF savings. So the research showed that we Malaysians are not that good in saving our money for further consumption. We use up our cash when we withdraw it from the respective institutions. So research has proven that. So we have to be careful when we spend our funds. Okay, and members then out of their EPF savings within 3 to 5 years after retiring, despite the lifespan of Malaysian increasing to 75 years old. So we retire maybe at previously it was at 55, and now we can work for the government servant up to 60 years old. So based on the lifespan expected of Malaysians, we have at least 15 years before we die. Okay, but some people might have a long life. They might live until 100 years or even after 100 years because the medical services are better now. Okay, we eat better stuff, so causing our life to be longer. Okay, we can live longer. So it's important that we plan so that when we retire, when we are not earning income anymore, we have savings to support our life. Yeah. Okay. Okay, again, a survey conducted by Manulife Investor Sentiment Index survey revealed 68%. Hold on, I need to admit them. Anymore coming. Okay, 68% of Malaysians have debt. Okay, mana 68% of words ada hutang. Okay, this is the highest proportion of all 8 markets surveyed in Asia. So they surveyed 8 countries. So I'm not sure exactly what are the countries, but probably of the countries with the most businesses and populations in Asia. Okay, more than double the regional average of 33%. So regional in Southeast Asia is only about 33%, but in Malaysia it's 68%, more than double. So it's quite alarming, the situation about that in Malaysia among us. Okay, the top 3 causes, what caused them to be in debt? First is living expenses. That means they borrow from people to have a better living, to buy better stuff, probably to live lavishly, okay, to live like a rich people, causing them to be in debt. Okay, the second reason is mortgage. Mortgage is whereby we buy properties, we buy houses, we buy lands. Okay, this is quite alright because of course when we retire, we want to have our own house, our own properties to live at. Okay, we don't want to be renting from people after we retire. Okay, and for children, education is about 37%, and that is quite alright also because education is very important. If we don't give good education to our children, so they'll be in problem in the future. But the first reason, the topmost reason, this is not a good reason. Okay, we cannot be, having a lot of debt just to live according to what we want. So we have to control our life, how we spend money, especially after we retire. We cannot be living the same way we live before we retire. Okay. Okay, Surah An-Nisa said, worship Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala and join none of Him in worship, and do good to parents, kinsfolk, orphans, the poor, the neighbor who is near of kin, the neighbor who is a stranger, the companion by your side, the wayfarer, and those slaves whom your right hands possess. Verily, Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala does not like such that are proud and boastful. Okay, this surah is mentioned here to tell that we have to have some funds provided to take care of our parents, okay, our kinsfolk, okay, family members, and others, like what we see in the zakat topics. We have to help others also, okay, with what we have. Okay, in Islam, it is the responsibility of the children to look after their parents, especially when they later become too old and incapable of sustaining themselves. Have you all been reading about a news about a lecturer who had been instructed by the court to take care of their parents? The parents changed the property's name, the house's name to the child's name. So then they sort of, I don't know, they chase out the parents, or they just don't want to take up the parents anymore. So the parents take the case to court and they win. So the judge asks the child, the daughter is the child, and the husband to take care of, to allow the parents to stay at the home, even though the name of the house has been changed to the daughter's name, but the court asked them to allow the parents to stay there and to support them, okay, to take care of them every day. So that is not good, so that's happening in today's world, whereby there are children who don't feel that it's their responsibility to look after their parents when the parents are very old and not capable of taking care of themselves. And plus, more embarrassing, the daughter of the two old people is a lecturer. See, even though they are educated, they don't have the right social feel. Okay, they don't feel that the parents are their obligation. Okay, so it's very shameful. Okay, nonetheless, it's very much encouraged that parents voluntarily release their children from such a burden. Okay, if the parents are capable, they have enough fund to support themselves, so that would be all right. If not, the children have to take the responsibility. So in Islamic retirement, one have to consider, okay, planning tools and processes as preparation to be independent financially when one is old or retires from one's job. Okay, so if they plan properly, probably they don't have to depend on the children. But that depends. Not everyone can do financial planning because some don't have the right income to do financial planning. Okay, like what we learned. Okay, no more ones come in. Okay. I'll try to use the full show. Okay. Okay, retirement pitfalls. Okay, things that go wrong. Okay, when people retire. First, underestimating cost of healthcare. Okay, sometimes we don't save enough. We say that well, we can go to government hospital, especially for government staff. They say government will pay for their medical bills. Okay, sometimes you have to think further. Even though we are government servant, I'm a government servant, uh, we cannot rely so much on government hospitals because there are limitations as to the number of cases that they can handle. So a lot of times we have to queue for our turn to be treated or to be in operation for severe illness, like probably a heart problem, okay, or we have other problems medically. Sometimes we have to queue, we have to give ways to other people uh, who have started treatment earlier, or other people who have a more severe case compared to ours. Yeah? And for government hospital, it's not that everything is free. We do have to pay for some things. Okay, but of course the amount is not much because the majority have been absorbed in the government's financial. Yeah. So okay, for those who are not working with the government, you're working on your own, or you work for private entities. So you have to think about the cost of healthcare, especially if your company doesn't provide medical benefits. So if you have to pay for your own healthcare, so it'll be very expensive. The cost is increasing like skyrocketing. So if you don't prepare now, you don't buy insurance or takaful, okay, to take care of your health matters, so you might be in problem in the future. So when you start working, you make sure you have covered yourself with all this. And if you are handling a clients for financial planning, so make sure you advise your clients to have preparation for health reasons. Okay, another pitfall is underestimating life expectancy. Okay, probably we think, okay, my parents died at the age of 70, so probably I'll die at the age of about 70 or so. So if I retire at 60, so probably I just plan uh, for 10 years. One more person comes in. Okay, so probably I plan only 10 years of life after retirement. When the fact is you live until the age of 90. So that means you have exhausted all your financial resources because you expected to live only about 70 years old. But in the end, you live until 90 plus or even 100 or even 100 plus. So you'll be in trouble then. Overestimating working life expectancy. Okay, probably for normal working people, we feel that we can work until the age of 60. So after 60, we will retire, and with the financial uh, resources we have at that time, probably we can support our retirement. But things might not go the way we want. Let's say at the age of 35, after you work for about 10 years or so, you become sick, very sick, or you are involved in some kind of accident causing you not to be able to continue working anymore. So if that's the case, that means you have to resign, or for government servants, you have to quit, you have to retire early. So when you retire early, you won't get as much in pension also, okay, because it depends on how many years of service you have had for the government. And there's a minimum requirement also. I think it's minimum is 10 years. But of course, your pension is very small lah, because you just work for the government. Because if you want maximum pension, you have to work for the minimum of 30 years old to get a maximum pension allowed, which is 60% of the last take home pay. So 30 years. So my service for the government will be 30 years in 2 years' time. So in 2 years' time, I can retire with full pension amount. Okay, so you all have to plan also. Okay, so other obstacles relating to retirement. Okay, pension for high living. So some people decide after pension also they want to live lavishly. So of course, if you live lavishly, you want to play golf every week, you want to go vacation overseas every month, you won't have enough money lah to support. Yeah. You have heavy fixed commitments, or maybe you bought a lot of properties when you're close to retirement. So during retirement, you still have to pay. You have commitments to pay for the assets that are costly. So that will be a burden lah financially. Spending future earnings. You already start spending assets that you invest for the future. What you invest, you withdraw it and spend it now. So that will cause your funds for the future to be less. Okay, divorce maintenance. So avoid divorce. Make sure you marry someone you really love and live happily ever after until you die. Because if you don't, you divorce along the way. So the man will end up having to pay for the divorce maintenance. Okay, but we heard also a lot of time they don't even pay, even though there are court orders, so a lot of bad things happen. So avoid divorce. It's not good. God forbids it, even though it's allowed. Yeah. Okay, unforeseen expenses. Suddenly, one of your children becomes sick. Suddenly, you have to fork out a large sum of money to cover for the medical expenses. Or somehow suddenly, something happened to your property. Your house got burned. You have to build a new house, and things like that. Unforeseen. Self-employed. Okay, when self-employment is good, but we have to really be careful to make sure our financial resources are okay. Because sometimes things don't go the way we plan. We run out of cash. Our business have to be closed down. So make sure you do things properly to make sure your income is good until retirement. Okay, competing needs and temptations. This is to the wants, not the needs. You always want to fulfill your wants for luxury things, for unnecessary things. So try to avoid. After retirement, you still want to buy goals. Okay, you want to use a lot of goals, which is not necessary anymore. Then taxation. Okay, you have a lot of asset, which means you have to pay for taxes and zakat also. So we have to be careful. If we save so much cash, we have to pay so much zakat. Okay, for the cash that we save in the accounts and taxation also. Okay, for what we have. Okay. Are you all okay so far? Before we go into the phases in retirement planning. Okay, we start with accumulation phase. Accumulate means we want to increase our assets. It starts when individual resources for retirement are created. Okay, we purchase an investment-linked insurance policy for a new bond, for example. Okay, we start savings in amanah saham. Okay, for example, for low risk investment. Or if we are more high risk taker, we might buy shares somewhere. We might buy bonds, for example. Okay, so in Malaysia, wealth accumulation starts with employment. So when you start working, you should start planning for your future, for your retirement. So don't say when you start working, you just enjoy the money, finish everything. Okay, so now that you have learned about this, you have to plan when you start working. Okay, retirement is the consumption phase. First you accumulate, then later on, when you don't have income anymore, you start using what you have saved. So individual sees his active working life. Okay, retirement time, no more working. While the length of accumulation phase is easier to determine, the retirement phase is projected on life expectancy. So how long will be on your life expectancy? So sometimes longer, sometimes shorter. Okay, so this is the phase where derivation of active income has stopped, so no more income. Retirees can still choose to generate income. So by the investment that you make, you can still have income. Okay, so that's why you have to properly manage your financial resources. Or if you become financial planners, you plan for your clients so that they have income after retirement. Okay, the need for Islamic retirement planning. So there's an increasing needs as the Muslims, realize that they have to fulfill the way God has planned for them. Okay, so what we need to emphasize, as usual, like what we studied in the earlier topics, we have to avoid dealings with elements of injustice, unfairness, riba, gharar, and gambling. Okay, so we have learned about this. And then for those who haven't performed the pilgrimage, going to Hajj or umrah. So you can plan in the financial planning activity to give to allow some funds to be used for this purpose, especially Hajj, because Hajj is compulsory if they are capable, okay, they can afford it. Umrah is not compulsory, but if they can afford it, it's good to go. Okay, then EPF money, EPF stands for Employee Provident Fund, or the Malay term is uh, Perkeso. Perkeso. I don't remember exactly what it stands for. Okay, EPF money, the gratuity is a reward, a lump sum cash that you get from your employer when you retire. So the last day before you retire, everything will be calculated for you. So when you retire, you will receive this gratuity. For government, we have this arrangement, but for private sector, it depends on what the company policies are. Okay, and any type of other financial benefits that would be received by a person when he retires. Okay, and all that they have to pay the zakat. Whatever cash we receive, remember the 2.5% amount of zakat is uh, you must be employed there when you get the money. Pay for the zakat first before you use the money. Okay, Islam encourage Muslims to give donation, wakaf, okay, hibah, etc. as their preparation for their life after death. Okay, so we have done all that. The process of Islamic retirement planning, I think the process is just the same. Hold on, someone wants to come in. Okay, the process of retirement planning is the same, except that for Islamic, we just include the Shariah components by doing things that are asked for and avoid doing things that are not allowed for the Muslims. Okay, in general, step one, we will assess the future income needs of a person. Okay, this is for assignment two of the group project. If some of the groups select the assignment, so this is the process that we have to go through. Okay, assess the future income. So we have to check. Maybe we interview our clients, or if we're doing it for ourselves, we check with ourselves. Okay, what kind of lifestyle we want to maintain. Okay, low expenditure, moderate or high. High means we live lavishly lah. How much will he need in order to retire the way he wants? So let's say he wants to live moderately. How much cost will he need to sustain that life? What is the retirement gap? Okay, what you need between what you have. Okay, during when you retire, how much resources you have. So how much do you need to make sure you have enough resource to cover during retirement. Okay, that is the deficiency amount that has to be filled for the client to have adequate funds to meet his retirement needs. Okay. The second step, we determine how to accumulate the funds required to cover for retirement gap. So we identify the gap here. And then in step two, okay, we check, okay, what can we do, okay, to ensure that they have more funds, okay, to cover for the gap that they have calculated there. So of course, we have to take into account the issues of Sharia compliance, okay, with whatever assets, whatever instruments, whatever investments that we suggest, it has to be Sharia compliant. Okay, step three, we have to ensure the manner in which the accumulation will be consumed. So we have to check how should the retiree be paid. Okay, monthly, quarterly, okay, yearly basis. Is it lump sum? Is lump sum better, or is it the annuity payment method better? So we have to discuss with the client how he would like to receive the payment. But we have to check also the characteristic, okay, of the client. If he's the type who will spend anything what he gets immediately, don't pay him lump sum lah. Okay, you better suggest to be paid, okay, monthly basis or it may be quarterly basis to make things easier. Okay, so issues for retirement income need. Okay, so when we plan for retirement, we have to consider variables such as the retirement age. Okay, so when do you want to retire? 55, 58, 60? Or if you work for private sectors, you can go even after 60, right? 65 or 70, I think maximum in 70. Okay, and then you have to check the expected mortality of the client. How long, in general, uh, based on history of the family and all that, how long will the client live? Okay, so it depends. So how to check? You can check the patterns of the parents of the client. Okay, close family members. Normally, how long do they live? But that is just estimation. We cannot, overrule what God has decided. Probably all the family members pass away at about 70, but somehow you live longer than that, a lot longer than that. Okay, so things happen. Okay, income needed at retirement. Okay, how much fund do you need to support for the retirement? Okay, like the second step earlier. Okay, you have to calculate uh, income you need to cover for the gap. Okay, resources available at retirement to provide the income. Okay, how much we have when you retire. The adequacy of the resources, whether it's enough to cover for your retirement. Amount of savings to fill any deficiency. Okay, what else do you need to do to cover for the resources needed? Okay, then as a financial planner, you have also to be aware. You need to be aware that there are non-financial needs that you have to discuss or maybe advise your client. For example, this is more or less like psychological, but of course, you will face the thing first, and then you can advise your clients to go somewhere else for advice. If you see that the problems are a lot more serious than what you expect, you cannot handle it. You better don't. You send him to someone who can help. For example, overcoming the loss of identity syndrome. Okay, is he looking forward to retirement? Is he holding important position? Sometimes when people always work in high position, when suddenly they retire and sort of become nobody, no friends, no people who look after, prepare their coffee during tea break, things like that. So they become psychologically depressed. Okay, so is there a need to find replacement power? If they can afford it, you can suggest for them to help maintain their dignity, probably by continuing with their golf game every weekend if they can afford it, or if not every weekend, maybe once a month, so that they can still meet some friends with the same interest. Okay, this is psychologically, yes, psychology only. Health considerations. Okay, is your client physically, mentally, and socially healthy? Okay. What is the plan? What is the plan if he is in critical need of medical attention? Okay, if he has medical attention, of course, your plan will need to include that part. So if you can check what is he receiving for medical benefit from the employer, and what top up is needed to make sure he has enough coverage when he needs it. Okay, also the social mental aspect. Okay, this is if probably if you need to send them to see a psychiatrist for advice, to a counselor, maybe you can send them. If things are not that serious, maybe you can just talk to the client. Okay, try to make him feel at ease, even when he is already retired. Okay, imminent divorce. Divorce again. This is not something so good, but things happen. Is he going to remarry if he's already divorced? Is it even for a woman also? If she going to remarry, or is she going to live alone or with the children? So does the person need support system of any kind? Okay, so that means your obligation is not just financial. You have to look for other factors that need to be taken care of also. Okay. Okay, clients expect to live longer. Okay, for example, patterns in the family showed that all the family members pass away after the age of 90, even 100 plus. Okay, so that means resources required are a lot. So does he have enough resources? So is he willing to scale down his lifestyle? So if he, chances are that he's going to live long, so probably he needs to cut down on the expenses. So he cannot live so lavishly like he used to before. Okay, you have to suggest for him to cut down so that he can sustain the resources available until 90 plus or 100. Okay, pre and post retirement interest. This is like what the golf example I showed earlier. What is his area of interest? How does he plan to carry on with the area of interest? Or whether the person is capable and can afford to continue with the area of interest. Okay, it depends. You might want to suggest a different kind of interest if you can see that the client cannot afford with the old interest after retirement. Okay. Okay, we go back to the process, determining and filling the retirement gap earlier. We see what they have with the retirement, how much they need actually, and then what's the gap. Okay, okay. Overall health position of the client is determined. When we have decided that, we can proceed with finding out the retirement needs of the client. Okay, there are 6 stages to determine the funds required. Okay, to cover the deficiency or the gap. You have to determine the first year income needed at retirement. Okay, when they retire, the first year, how much they will need. Of course, you have to consider cutting down some of the expenses. This will automatically reduce a lot. Last time, the client have to pay a lot in gasoline, to go to work every day, but now not anymore. So, cost cutting already happened there. Okay, and then last time he has to go and eat at restaurants every day. Now not anymore. So probably just cook at home, which will be less costly and only from time once a while, a few times a month only go out to eat at restaurants. Okay, then determine the retirement capital, the lump sum required. Okay, the lump sum required at retirement to fund income needed with or without residue for distribution during the retirement period. With or without residue, your plan too will include a balance to be distributed to your beneficiaries or not. If you don't plan to have balance for your beneficiaries, then you can spend everything. But if you plan to leave something for your children, okay, you must have some savings or some asset left for them. Okay, determine the current and future resources destined for retirement purpose. Okay, what resources you will need to cover for all your expenses toward your retirement life. Okay, then you convert the value of the current resources to the value at retirement. So you'll do the future value calculation here. Yeah, what you have now, what we need in the future, how much will that be? So you use future value calculation. You find the lump sum retirement gap or the deficit surplus amount. Okay, what you will need, what's not enough based on your calculation. Determine the funding needs during the pre-retirement period to meet the lump sum needs. Okay, during retirement, you have to decide how much lump sum now you need to cover for your the life that you expect to live after retirement. Okay. How do you do that? Okay, step 1, you determine the first year income needed at retirement. First year. Okay, how much do you need? The amount is arrived after taking into consideration the qualitative and quantitative assumptions. So there are 2 methods. Okay, the replacement ratio method. Then second method is the expense method. Okay, the replacement method. Okay, there are assumptions. Changes in the cost of living equal to changes in the individual's income over the years of his working life. Okay, the changes that you're willing to make. So over working life, you do something. So when you retire, okay, you cut down on certain things. So that are the changes. Okay. And then the post-retirement income needs of the client, you estimate from the individual's pre-retirement income. So after your working years, okay, finish that. Okay, what do you have at that time? Okay, what's the income that you need to cover for your retirement? So that is the pre-retirement income. Standard of living enjoyed by the client during the pre-retirement years will be the determining factor to the standard of living during the retirement phase. Okay, the standard of living. If you earn a lot, your resources are a lot, you have a lot of assets, so there'll be no problem for you to live the way you live before retirement. But if you don't have enough assets, probably you have to cut down lah on the way you live. Okay, you have to cut down on the expenses that you used to make when you were still working. Okay, to determine the post-retirement income, okay, a percentage of a replacement ratio of the client's estimated last drawn salary, normally between 70 to 90% is used. Okay, so that is the best, ratio if we can fulfill that. But even with government pension fund, the maximum government provide is 60% of the last pay, not even 70%. So if you can get 70% to 90%, that is good. So if you are a government servant, you get 60% from your last pay, and then another 10 or 20% maybe come from your other resources. Maybe you have rumah-rumah sewa ke, okay, house that you can rent out and get some income. Okay, so that will generate some income for you. Or maybe you have plantation somewhere, ada kebun getah, kebun kelapa sawit, that will provide some income also. But of course, you have to plan earlier lah, not on retirement. You have to plan before retire when you just, beginning to work. You buy such assets. Yeah. Okay, and then the expense method requires the construction of a budget for post-retirement living. Okay, so you estimate the amount that will be needed to meet the cost of housing. Okay, the first method ratio just now, you just using a certain portion or percentage, you estimate what you will need during retirement. For example, for gasoline expenses, yearly expense during working time, you spend 5,000 ringgit in gasoline expenses because you have to go to work and everywhere, so you spend a lot. But when you retire, probably you'll spend only about 2,000 ringgit in gasoline per year. That's too little. Okay, you have to make a realistic estimation. Okay, the second method is expense method. You just estimate what you need. You don't use the first method. First method, you assume you will, do expensive, the same, we will expense on the same things, but only the portion will reduce. Okay, for this part, you just estimate what do you need. For example, for housing, you pay for mortgage payments if you're still paying. You have renovation loans that you're still paying. Maybe you still are paying for your cars. You buy a sports car, you're still paying for it. Okay, what you're going to spend for your food, groceries, eat out. Okay, for healthcare, what do you need, and other things. Okay, you have to check in detail with the clients what are their expenses when they retire, what are they still need to pay. Okay. Okay, step 2, determine the required retirement capital. Okay, lump sum required. After estimation of all the expenses earlier, you calculate the total amount. The lump sum is the total amount needed to meet yearly retirement income during the number of years in retirement. Okay, 2 methods again, liquidation method and capital conservation method. Okay, liquidation method, asset utilization approach. So the assets for retirement are progressively liquidated. You use it bit by bit. You sell it, or you spend it to meet the needs of a retiree over the period of the retirement. Yeah. Capital sum is assumed to be fully liquidated. There is no residual amount, tak ada balance, no extra expected at the end of the retirement period for the purpose of distribution to heirs. Tak ada, retiree ends up with zero balance. Or if you still live after that, that means negative already lah. You have to depend on the support from the children and other heirs. Okay, very important to accurately predict the number of years in retirement so as to prevent running out of funds. But of course, you will run out of funds if you live long. Okay. Capital conservation or retention method. This is asset preservation approach. The earlier one was asset utilization. You just use up everything until it becomes zero. Okay, for this method, the retiree will have a retirement amount that is large enough to generate a stream of income sufficient to sustain the chosen lifestyle. and still leave behind a targeted amount of money for distribution at the end of the retirement period. So you still have some assets left at the end of the retirement period. So you plan to leave something for your children, okay, for your heirs. You don't deplete, okay, the account provides because you want to cover long-term care and other expenses that arise in retirement. You make sure some savings are left. Okay, it requires the accumulation of a larger fund at retirement than the former method. Of course, you need a larger amount because you want to save something for your beneficiaries. Okay, this is good, but probably a bit difficult. Okay. Step 3, determine the current and future resources destined for retirement purpose. So this involves identifying the current available assets and cash savings, regular investment plans which are labeled for retirement and catalogued in a list with their values attached. You check the value of your assets or investment or savings. You segregate the income producing assets from those that are non-income producing. Okay, maybe you have a piece of land, no, you don't get anything of the land, no plants, no pokok durian, no pokok getah and all that. Then you have another piece of land with some, planted trees that can give you income. Okay, like kelapa sawit, getah and all that. Okay, assets or income stream that will be depleted or terminated before the client retires should be noted and omitted in the final computation of the available assets for retirement purpose. Okay, so maybe at this time you can decide to uh, get rid of the asset that's not contributing income to you. Okay, you can sell it off and use the income you get to plan for the retirement income. Okay. It can be done on retirement resources, projection worksheet, or statement of net worth by earmarking assets individually for retirement education or estate planning. Okay. Okay. What you have. Okay. What cash do you have or cash equivalent? What assets that you have that can give you income in the future. So you just list, you check with the clients. Sometimes they have many assets, but they don't realize it because they don't keep the record properly. Okay, step 4, you convert the value of the current resources to their value at retirement. Okay, what you have checked, you check how much the value will be at retirement. Okay, current resources meant for retirement, which are current available assets and cash savings or investment plans, converted to current resources at retirement using time value of money, okay, the future value calculation. The total amount derived is the funds or resources available at retirement. Okay, which we call retirement resources status. Okay, examples here. Okay, resources labeled for retirement. For example, you have this, but of course you have a lot more normally. Current market value, when you check your asset, okay, you have unit trust valued at 150,000. Okay, so you're not contributing anymore. You put lump sum amount in there. Okay, you have 15 years to retirement. That means if you plan to retire at 60, your age is now about 45 years old. Okay, and probably on average after tax return of your unit trust is about 8%. So you do your future value calculation. So at retirement, that means after 15 years, with this return, you will have about 475,000 plus in your unit trust. Okay. So if no other deduction for that, so this is projected net value at retirement. Okay. At retirement, this amount. Okay, EPF, for example, now you have 157,000 plus. Okay, with the same years and after tax return. Okay, at retirement, the value will be about 326,000 plus. Okay, if no other deduction, so this will be the amount at retirement. Okay, if you have unit trust, for example, okay, for this unit trust, you do annual contribution. So every year you put in 5,000 for another 15 years. Okay, with the same return. Oh, this one tadi 5%. This one 8%. So at retirement, the value of your unit trust will be 135,000 plus. Okay, so This is if you have a deduction, okay, for the assets. Okay, that will be 135,000. So at retirement, this is what you have. Okay, close to 1 million. 8 plus only, 8 plus 19. Okay. Okay, step 5, find the lump sum retirement gap of the deficit or surplus amount. Calculate the lump sum retirement gap, okay, which is the amount of fund deficient, not enough at retirement. Okay, what you need, you calculate earlier in the table. Okay, in step 2, how much do you need? Less what the resources that you have in the table just now. So the difference is the surplus or deficit. Surplus if you have extra, okay, this minus this, you have extra. Deficit if you didn't have enough, you need to find more resources. Or you lower down your lifestyle. Okay, step 6, determine the funding needs during the pre-retirement period to meet the lump sum needs at retirement. Okay, so once you have identified the deficiencies, okay, you can proceed to choose funding method to meet the deficiency. Okay, which can be method 1, you can use annual funding need. Okay, by annual funding need can be modified into shorter time interval, half yearly, quarterly or monthly to suit the cash flow pattern and convenience of the client. Okay, or you can use the lump sum funding need. Okay, of course, this is seldom used because clients' total resources at retirement are shown when his retirement resources status is computed. You need to use that method. Combination funding. Okay, client determine the lump sum allotted immediately for retirement to fill the retirement gap, so the amount can be reallocated to investment resources for retirement. Okay. Okay, the important caution is that make sure everything is Shariah compliant. Okay, don't forget, you cannot suggest them un-Islamic methods of financing, for example. Okay, areas to consider in designing and recommending a retirement plan. Okay, what is the additional lump sum amount needed? So earlier we have discussed, you need to find the gap. What does the client want at retirement? The type of lifestyle. Okay, what they plan to do. Okay, all the activities you need to consider and include it in the plan so that they have enough fund. What are the client's financial retirement resources? So earlier you have in the table you have listed, okay, some of the resources available. What is the income needed to sufficiently fund the lifestyle chosen? How much do you need? Okay, based on what they want here. Okay, this they want to do. Okay, what must the client do from now in order to meet his retirement funding shortfall? Okay, shortfall means uh, you know, what's not enough to cover for their retirement. So retirement funding blueprint will outline the investment options and strategies that have to be adopted for the client to meet his retirement goals. Okay, this is the part that you have to suggest to the client. What can they do to make sure they have enough fund to support for their retirement after you have calculated the gap for them and check what they have available, okay, how much more they will need. Okay, so basically the overall things that you need to consider. Okay, implementing the Islamic retirement plan. Okay, of course, you have to get the consent from the client. There are some forms if your company need to prepare, okay, an agreement between you and your client. So the key element of this step, you must follow, then ensure he selects the appropriate products and services that are in line with the client's goals, needs and priorities. And of course, you cannot contradict the principles of the Shariah. Okay, of course, you have to monitor and review the plan, but depends on what agreement that you have with your client. Okay, mentioned here depending on the scope of work agreed between the Islamic financial practitioner and the client, the practitioner may have to monitor changes in the environment, the laws and regulations and other factors that may impact the performance of the client's investment. It is strongly suggested that you request for this type of arrangement whereby you follow through with what happened after the plan is made, because sometimes things change. You need to change the investment, okay, because things are not doing well with the asset that you proposed earlier. So if you monitor their plan, so it's easier for you to check what's going on. Okay, important to review investment performance of the client's retirement portfolio periodically. Okay, check that all the investments are Shariah compliant. Okay, that is a must for Islamic financial planning. Check the performance of the investments in the portfolio and report them to the client. How it's progressing, how much it's making, things like that. Because the client sometimes don't even know how to look at the share prices. Hmm. Okay, check the current relevancy of the investment in meeting the retirement goals. Okay, some investments are losing maybe, so you have to request from the client to switch to a different investment before they keep losing. Okay, revisiting the earlier projections to ensure they reflect the current situation. Okay, there are changes that happen. Okay, you have to check back and rearrange things. The manifestation of new investment instruments that may be better than current ones for meeting the objectives of the client. So you might want to suggest a different investment. Okay, and new ones are better ones come in the picture. Okay, retirement schemes. Okay, in developed countries, they have many plans. Okay, but in Malaysia, we still have a limited number of schemes. But you have to study all that. So when you do practicum, normally the companies will, where you do your practicum, will make sure you study all available instruments, all available investments, products, services by different type of institutions. So if you understand all that, it will be easier lah for you to advise your clients later on. So don't worry, now you might not know so much yet, but later on when you do your practicum, you learn a lot. But make sure you select the right kind of company to do your practicum. Don't go to company whereby they ask you to do marketing, you distribute flyers at the train stations. You know, their students is the past. They select the wrong company, so they end up doing the wrong things, not financial planning things. Okay, not it doesn't have anything to do with finance. So it's a waste lah. They didn't get much lah during practical. Okay, so from now on you can start looking at companies, see what they are doing, and select the right ones. If you select the right companies, normally if you perform well, they will hire you immediately after you will finish your practical. They want you to work for them. Okay, quite a number have got jobs like that. Okay, the tax laws are the main stumbling blocks for tax favored schemes to be developed. Okay, for different schemes, the amount of taxations imposed are different. So you have to check, suggest schemes that are most favorable to the client. Okay, for employees, there are compulsory schemes, which is the EPF. Okay, for retirement, so this is compulsory, whereby they deduct 11% of your pay for the scheme, and your employer will contribute some portion also. So it's something good also lah. So in the end, you have fund from your salary and some from your employer. Okay, for business owners, they can choose to contribute or not to contribute to these schemes. Alternatively, they can choose to contribute to a privately set up scheme which may or may not be tax approved. So if they don't want to do APF, they can provide their own scheme. But actually, it's a bit difficult to come up with your own scheme. EPF is good enough. Okay. Normally, even private companies, they go for EPF. If they don't want to, they prepare something else lah for the benefit of the staff. Okay, EPF is called as the most popular and largest retirement fund in Malaysia. Okay, established in 1951. So it makes it compulsory for all employers and employees except the self-employed. Okay, you work on your own. You have your own business, but for your client, for your staff, you have to provide the APF or some other scheme if you don't follow APF. To contribute their respective share according to the prescribed ratio. Okay, so the contribution up to 55 years old, employee share is 11%, employer's share is 12%. So it's good also you get 12% from your employer, which it is not easy to get. Okay, after 55 years old and until 75, okay, 75 years old, maximum age for EPF. So that means you can still work for 30 years after 55. But of course, the contribution is lessened to 5.5% and employers' portion also lessened to 6%. Okay. Okay, it is said that contribution of more than statutory rate is allowed subject to certain conditions, but normally companies just follow this. Okay, they don't want employees also don't want to contribute so much because you need the income to pay for the expenses. Okay, employees also don't want to pay so much. Okay, but this is already a reasonable amount. Okay, the income staff get workers get from EPF. Okay, the dividend for conventional accounts. Okay, from 2014, so it has reduced and pick up in 2017, then reduced back in 2018. Last year also not that much, about 6 or 5 something, I don't remember. Okay, I don't contribute to EPF, that's why I don't remember. I take pension funds. For government servant, we have to decide whether we want pension fund or we want EPF. So if you select pension fund, you don't have to contribute to EPF, but you will get your pension when you retire. Okay, dividend for Shariah purpose is lessened because they deduct for zakat. Okay. Starting 2017 only, they have Shariah-based EPF. Okay, there are 2 accounts in EPF. So account 1 and account 2. Account 1 consists 70% of the member total savings in the fund. Okay. The accumulated amount meant principally for members' retirement, so the 70%. Full withdrawal can be made when the member reach age 55. So can take out all at 55. Account 2 consists of 30% of the members of the saving. Yeah, provides early withdrawal schemes for its members before they reach retirement age. So you can withdraw earlier, starting at the age of 50. Members who reach 55 will have 2 accounts. Okay, account emas and account 55. This is the normal account. Okay, but if you are still working after 55, you have another account emas for that 5.5% deduction. Okay, because it's a different ratio, so they set up a different account for that. Yeah, EPF withdrawal. Age 50, you can withdraw in full or part for account 2 only. Account 1 cannot, the 70% amount you cannot withdraw yet. So you can withdraw only from account 2 at the age of 50. So the withdrawal will be for this purpose. Okay. At the age of 55, okay, you can withdraw all the PF savings, including the 70%. Age 60, account emas, extension to the age 55 withdrawal. Okay, so whatever you can withdraw already, even from your account emas at age 60. Okay, what you can spend on for the withdrawal between the age of 50 until 54. Okay, if you want to purchase or build house, you want to pay for example, deposit. Okay, to reduce housing loan, you have existing loan that you want to pay off earlier. To pay for education of your children. Okay, you want to invest in some sort of other scheme providing better income. Okay, for that purpose. Okay. For health purpose also, medical expenses if you need. For Hajj also, you can withdraw from that, from the second account. You want to leave the country. Incapacitation, you cannot work anymore. Flexible housing, this is what provided I think by the government for low income earners. Okay. Housing loan monthly installment. Okay, you want to help you to pay off for the installment. Savings more than RM 1 million. Okay, if you have saving more than 1 million, you can withdraw earlier at the age of 50. Pensionable employees. Okay, somehow you change to option pension, so you can withdraw your EPF. Optional retirement, also when you retire early. Optional means you can request For example, for government servant, if I want to retire early, I just fill up the forms and submit. So if they agree, so I can retire before my retirement age. Okay, the private retirement schemes, voluntary long-term savings and investment to help save more for your retirement. Okay, some companies, they might, some staff might be involved in two schemes also. One is the EPF schemes, okay, and one is the PRS scheme. If they agree, that means deduction will be at two places. So if your salary is big enough, you can afford for deduction in two places, fine, then you can do it. But depends on, normally we just select one type, either EPF or what your company have created. Okay, it seeks to enhance choices available for organizations, whether employed or self-employed. So self-employed, they can prepare their own to supplement their retirement savings under a well-structured and regulated environment. Okay, PRS, to make sure it's done correctly, properly, so it doesn't take advantage of the workers. So the regulatory framework is established under Capital Market and Services Act 2007. So regulated by Securities Commission Malaysia to ensure robust regulation and supervision of the PRS industry. Okay, so it's not easy. If you want to do PRS scheme also, you have to go through these people. Yeah. Okay, that's all I have for today in terms of the lectures. Okay, everyone? Are you all okay? Can you all show your faces? Hello?
Okay, madam, okay.
Oh, ingatkan I'm talking alone aja. Okay, you're okay.
No,
Any
no.
question? Any question? Okay, next week will be our last class next week. So all the presentation will be next week. Okay, so we have Afiq, are you talking?
Yeah, yeah.
Ah,
Yeah. No, yeah. No question, madam.
no question. Oh, I thought you want to say something. Okay, so next week will be our last class. So presentation will be from the topic last week and this week's topic plus the issue, right? So we have three groups for next week for presentation.
Yes.
So what even the assessment you will include during that same class. Okay, make a simple one so that you can finish probably in 25 minutes per group, about 25 minutes per group. Okay? Okay, any
Yeah.
questions on this topic?
No, madam.
You're okay?
Okay, madam.
Okay. Remember last week we did estate planning? Ingat tak? Last week we did estate planning. So I didn't go into the details on the type of sibling semua tu. Remember dalam estate planning, kita ada basic distribution. Okay. Okay. We don't go into the details because you'll be learning the topic in estate planning course. So, but you just need to know the basics of faraid. Dengar? You all dengar? Basics of faraid kan ada dalam table last week tu yang distribution to husband, wife, father, mother, daughter, son. So the basics tu you have to know. Ada soalan pun dalam final. Okay? So study a bit. Tapi detail distribution tu you don't have to know but that will be into tajuk asset planning. Asset planning you'll be doing it under apa? Major Ali, Tuan Ali kenal kan? Kelas kenal ke Tuan Ali?
Kenal.
So asset planning dia tokenya. He's an expert in asset planning tu. Saya pun tak pandai. Saya pun tahu yang basic saja. Yang basic calculation. Kalau mati bapa, siapa dapat ni, the basics kan. Tapi kalau detail-detail, kalau orang ni mati, how much will go to that person, to aunties, to uncle, anak saudara, second cousin semua tu kan. Dia ada a lot more details tu yang pakar. Major Ali dia pergi courses merata untuk asset planning tu. So dia kata, dia inform saya, okay I don't have to go into the details, nanti dalam kelas dia lah. Even dalam kelas dia pun dia kata dia tak akan ajar terlalu detail sebab jadi complicated sangat. So for this class, you all just tahu the basics distribution bila isteri mati, suami mati, bagikan anak macam banyak mana, anak lelaki, anak perempuan. Okay, pada bapa, mak dapat banyak mana. Macam tu Okay. Our final, okay, in first place, faculty set it on the 13th of August kan, tapi dah clash with your English exam. So kita dah agree akan buat on the 10th kan? Dengar ke ni?
Dengar.
Macam tak dengar je. Kita akan buat it on the 10th. Okay, on the 10th, pukul 9 pagi tu, okay, final tu dia ada 30 multiple choice questions. Okay, dan the rest tu soalan yang essay type lah. Okay, part B tu. Okay, part A multiple choice tu kita buat pukul 9 pagi. Habis dalam 1 hour, mungkin saya bagi sejam 10 ke sejam setengah, 30 soalan je pun. Kita siapkan yang multiple choice tu, you all pun akan submit. Nanti saya tengoklah which platform saya nak pakai kan. Edmodo ke ataupun pakai Google Form aja ke, tengoklah mana. Tapi tu kita finishkan in the morning. So dalam 10:30 tu, you dah boleh start part B. Saya akan email ataupun saya akan masukkan dalam WhatsApp pun boleh juga, dan dalam My Guru pun saya boleh masukkan juga soalan tu. That morning lah saya masukkan. So lepas habis multiple choice tu, you all start working on question essay tu sampailah pukul, saya bagi you all sampai pukul 6 petang kan. Sampai pukul 6 petang, lepas tu you all kena email ataupun masukkan dalam My Guru untuk saya. Hari yang sama tu lah. Nak pukul by 6 o'clock tu dah masukkan. Jadi kita tak boleh bagi masa yang terlalu lama supaya you all tak ada merapu nanti copy paste jawapan kan. Kalau we give you all 2 days, 3 days, nanti jenuh saya nak marking lambat jawapannya. Okay, resources you all boleh refer mana pun, website ke, nota ke, PowerPoint, whatever you can open. Tapi the answers will be on your own, jangan copy paste. Okay, semalam dalam group A ada tanya, okay, handwritten lah saya decide tak mau buat type lah, nanti you all copy paste kan. Kita handwritten the answer, boleh? Maknanya you all boleh refer resources mana-mana, tapi jawapan tu you just write back. Dan siap semua, nanti you akan scan dan hantar pada saya. Okay? Okay, faham on final tu? Okay, nanti when the time comes saya akan beri lagi lah maklumat yang diperlukan. Okay, setakat ni ada soalan tak? Any question?
Yang Pak B tu